and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Legacy Buzzworthy Bumblebee Creatures Collide Skywasp. Before we take a look at the figure, of course, let's take a look at the packaging. So up front here, of course, we have Goldbug, we have Ransack Skywasp, and Predacon Scorponok. Actually, all three other figures in this pack I've already reviewed, so if you want to go check out those reviews, of course, look over my channel after this review that you're watching right now. Of course, on the side here, we do have RC, Mirage, Bumblebee, and of course, all their names at the bottom. We have Creatures Collide, we do have Buzzworthy Bumblebee, and if we just quickly flip this around, I do apologize if you don't have the best view for a quick sec. This is a really big box. And of course in the back, Goldbug transforms in 20 steps, Ransack transforms in 14, and of course the figure we're looking at today, Skywasp transforms in 20 steps, and Predacon Scorponok transforms in 25 steps. And that's pretty much it for the packaging. Let's now get into the... Here we have Skywasp in the really cool looking robot mode. Let's take a look at the details, starting at that head sculpt. Of course, this is the head sculpt that was shared from Buzzsaw, the previous version of this mold, which I will bring out in just a second for comparison. We have some nice silverish blue on the wings, of course, some nice purple for the main helmet section, some nice gold for the face, and some red for the visor. It's also really nice. There's actually light piping on this head sculpt, which is pretty cool. Getting to the arms here, of course, you have some nice black, red, and purple, and of course more purple for the hands. We also do have the insect legs there, which are pretty cool. And also getting to the wings, I think they did a really good job with these. Of course, you can actually maneuver these however you wish. I really do like how they look, very realistic, insect-like. Of course, there's a bunch of ligaments in there, which looks very cool. Lots of red. Overall, looks very nice. Getting to the chest, of course, we have the head sculpt of, or the head of the bug, looking very cool there. Some nice goldish silver for the eyes, of course some purple for the antennas, and some black as well. We also have the mandibles there, looking very cool. Getting down to the lower legs, of course, we do have the black and gold there, looking very cool. As for the rest of the leg, mostly done in purple with the other insect legs sticking out. That's pretty much it for details. Overall, a really good looking figure in my opinion. Let's now get down to articulation. So the head, of course, can rotate all the way around. It can look up and down. As there, of course, there is a hinge here. There is a hinge here. Of course, it can also swivel. There's also an elbow joint. There's also a swivel at the hand. Also, for the insect leg, of course, there is a swivel here. So if you want to maneuver that however you wish. Also, the wings are on a ball joint, so you can have these up or down. There's also a waist swivel. The leg can kick that far out, that far forward, that far back, and of course there is a knee bends and ankle pivots, and of course a swivel at the leg as well. And for these bottom legs, of course, you can slightly move these too if you want to have a more dynamic pose. And that's pretty much it for articulation. Let's now get into the accessories. So it does come with the same little stinger piece as the other two versions of this mold. Again, not my favorite accessory because it really doesn't do much. I wish there was like a transparent piece here to show it was like a blade or a stinger. This really just looks like a random piece of the figure that was just taken off and you use that as an accessory. So not the greatest accessory in my opinion, but it also does come with an alternate head sculpt. So of course this head is from Buzzsaw, but you can also get the head sculpt from Waspinator. Of course, it's slightly tweaked to match his color scheme, and you can actually remove that and put on Waspinator's head. So just take that off, and of course just plug this one right on. And I really do like how simple it is. It's just a ball joint. You easily can just rip it off, and the great thing is there is no damage. As you can see, no stress marks or anything, and that's really great, because when I was getting this pack, I was really worried that I would cause stress marks whenever I take off the head, but it's actually really easy and super loose on my copy. Of course, this could just be my copy. Maybe others are really tight, so really it might vary, but overall, of course, pretty cool. So two accessories. Honestly, I think the alternate head is better. Probably when I typically position this or store it in my display, I'll probably have the alternate head on, most likely, rather than this one. But yeah, the other accessory is not my favorite. Let's now get into some quick comparisons. Here he is with Buzzsaw. And of course, the only difference between them is, of course, that head sculpt, but if you want to, you can actually take it off, and they will be pretty much the exact same figure. And here he is with the original Waspinator. And I typically will have their wings down because they do take up quite a bit of space if you have them up, so I'll just put those down to have them all similar. There we go. And yeah, here we have the big bunch of wasps and bugs. I think they do look pretty cool next to each other. My favorite has to be Waspinator. I love his head sculpt, and his overall design is super cool. I think all these figures look very good in design, just I wish their joints were a little bit tighter. I know a lot of people have complained about this as well, but it's the whole inner section, the legs, and the top waist section. It's not really that sturdy of a connection, unfortunately. This one is a bit loose too. As you can see, this whole section is very loose. I wish that was a bit tighter. So there is about two sections that could be a little bit tighter in the connection, but the arms and legs are actually pretty pretty tight on this one, which is good. But yeah, again, of course, between these two, the only difference is that head sculpt, and of course, between this one and Waspinator, they're the exact same thing. But if you want to, of course, you can take this one off. Just quickly take that one off, and then you can plug the alternate one on. And there we have, of course, these are the same now. But yeah, they do look very cool next to each other. I'm not really sure what my second favorite would be, but definitely my favorite has to be Waspinator. I think they did a really good job with him. Between these three, of course, which one's your favorite Buzzsaw, Skywasp, or Waspinator? Let me know in the comment section down below. That's pretty much it for the robot mode. Let's now get in transformation into the Wasp mode. Now get down to transformation into the Wasp mode. So what you're going to do is unhinge this whole section from the back like that. And then there is a tab, and of course there is a slot. You're just going to align that in place. Make sure the head, of course, is in the right position. Just tab that into place, and there you go. You can then bring down the arms. You can use this hinge, of course. Then you're going to use the swivel at the arm and swivel that that way, and then of course you can get the hand, bring that down. Do the same thing, of course, at the other arm. So bring this in, swivel that out, and then you can bring in the hand like that. As you can see, of course, there is pegs on the arms, and there is ports on the inside of the body, of course, or the waist section, and you can just plug those into place like that. Just gotta align those into place on both sides. Just make sure everything is tabbed into place, and then of course you can pretty much position the little insect legs however you wish and however you want them to stand. And now let's go to the legs. So you're going to disconnect the whole waist section. Of course there is a tab and a slot, and then you can just rotate this whole assembly around like that. And then you're going to tab the whole waist section into this back section right here. So just tab this into place, and then what you're going to want to do is bring in the heel spurs like that, and there is a tab on this foot and a slot on the other one. And then there is also tabs here in the whole slot section here that's going to align with that inner piece right there. So just align that up, and then you're just going to bring the feet up like that. Sometimes they will get disconnected, unfortunately. And then what you're going to want to do is pretty much, straighten out everything, get them all collapsed. And then you can grab the accessory from the remote mode, of course. This will become the stinger for this mode. There is a peg and a port that will just plug right into place like that. And there we have Skywasp and his really cool looking Wasp mode. Here we have Skywasp and his really cool looking Wasp mode. Let's take a look at the details, starting at the very front, of course, with the head of the Wasp looking very cool. Of course, purple for the antennas. There's also some texturing on the eyes done in that gold with some black for the mandibles, looking very cool. You can actually maneuver the head if you want to. Unfortunately, you really can't open the mandibles at all. Getting to the wings, of course, looking very cool with this little sections of the wings looking very realistic and insect-like, done in that nice transparent red plastic with some black. This huge stinger section with the gold and black stripes looking very cool. Of course, getting down to the insect legs, mostly done in purple with quite a bit of texturing at the base or the feet of them, looking very cool. But no, that's pretty much it for the Wasp mode. It looks pretty cool. Let's now get down to, of course, the accessory storage. So unfortunately, you cannot really store the alternate head sculpt anywhere. Of course, you can have one where it usually is. And of course, the other accessory is the blaster, which is stores right there. And honestly, I think it works more there than actually like a blaster in the remote mode, which is kind of unfortunate. But let's now get down to, of course, articulation. So the head can move slightly up and down. As for the little legs, of course, there is a swivel here, and there is a swivel at the back too. And as for the wings, there is a ball joint on them. And that's pretty much it for articulation. Let's now get down to one quick Wasp or bug mode comparison. Here he is with Waspinator. And I'd say probably my preferred is definitely Skywasp. I actually really do like the purple and red look. It looks really nice. And yeah, overall, the transformation, I would say, is probably the worst part of this figure. It's very fiddly, so I do apologize if you didn't have the best view during transformation. But overall, the look of each figure is actually, each mode is actually really good. They just really need to nail down the joints. Some of the joints are actually really loose, like on Waspinator, the insect legs are actually super tight, but his arms for the robot mode are actually very, very loose. And honestly, it's the complete opposite. These are actually pretty loose on there, but also his robot mode arms are actually very tight in the robot mode. So yeah, a bit of a mixed bag for each figure. It could just be my copy, I'm not really sure, but yeah, they just need to work on that. But overall, of course, mold-wise, they're the exact same thing in this mode, just of course, in the remote mode, there's that alternate head sculpt. That's pretty much it for the alt mode. Let's now get into the final, getting down to the final thoughts for the Transformers Legacy Buzzworthy when creatures collide Skywasp. Starting in the Wasp mode, I think overall it looks really good. I actually really do like the black, gold, and purple look, and I also really do like the nice red for the wings. I think that really works. I do kind of wish maybe some of the joints were a little bit tighter on this figure, especially where the insect legs are concerned. Actually, sometimes they do tend to move forward or back, and he does become a little bit unlevel whenever you're positioning him on a table, but I actually do typically have him displayed in his robot mode anyway, so that's, I would say, the biggest deal. I also kind of wish maybe you could have his little teeth or mandibles had some articulation there. Unfortunately, there's none. Getting down to transformation, that's actually probably the weakest part of the figure. It's not the funnest for, both ways, vice versa, Wasp to Robot or Robot to Wasp. It's just really fiddly, and I wouldn't say the most fun to do. It's not too bad. It's not like hard. It's just you have to fiddle with a lot, and some things on tab, and it gets kind of annoying and frustrating. Getting down to the robot mode, I think detail-wise, that actually really works. That's one of these many pros of this mold, just in general, for all three versions. I think the details look super cool. Getting down to, of course, accessories and joint tightness, I think that's where it falls short. Unfortunately, it just comes with that weird blaster accessory, and I really don't think that works. It doesn't even look like a stinger. I kind of wish maybe it came with like his harpoon gun that came from, of course, the Beastars series. When Waspinner was in that show, he typically either had laser eyes, and I really don't think they could recreate that in a toy. And he also usually did have a harpoon gun. I think they definitely could have given that to Waspinner, and the same to this figure, and also Buzzsaw. I really wish they had done that, but and getting down to, of course, joint tightness, it's really kind of a mixed bag. The arms are really tight and the legs are pretty tight, but really where the torso and the chest connect, that's very loose. Unfortunately, it just keeps untabbing whenever I mess with it, so I wish that was a little bit of a tighter connection, more sturdy. But overall articulation is pretty good, details are pretty good, and I think it's overall a pretty good figure. Of course, this did come in a 4-pack, so I wouldn't say this is the most interesting of the bunch. I think a lot of people really bought it for Goldbug. I think this is probably my least favorite figure of the bunch. Not saying it's a bad one, just the other ones have much more interesting things to offer, and of course this is the third version of the mold, so I wouldn't say it's the best. I'm not really sure which one is my second favorite, but my favorite of the three versions was Skywasp and Skywasp. My favorite has to be Waspinner. Of those three, do let me know in the comment section down below which one you like most. Of course, what do you think of this figure? Is it good or bad? Do you like it? Do you have it? All that, and let me know in the comment section down below. Hope you enjoyed this review, and I'll see you